Now, back to Miller on Sports, the show where everyone feels like rushing the field. Everything else is just talk. Brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes.
Joining me in studio right now, former Jacksonville Jaguars kicker Mike Hollis. Check out his kicking academy. It's Mike Hollis's Proform Kicking Academy. Their website, proformkicking.com. Mike, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Well, thanks, Richard. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, and I know many people know you from all your years with Jacksonville, 95 to 2001. You hold the record for total points, but most field goals made, field goals attempted. And I also want to ask you, because here in Jacksonville and all the other 31 other cities, we've seen all these cuts coming down. Yesterday, teams had to be down to 80. By Saturday, they need to be down to 53. During your time in the NFL, were you ever disappointed with you or your teammates when you saw them go or leave the team? Or was it more just a fact of, you know what, this is just a business?
Well, it is a business first and foremost, but one of the things that you realize is you can't get too close to a lot of the guys in camp because almost half of them are going to be gone, you know, so... but you know, you do. There are times where you're scratching your head, going, "Wow, I can't believe they released him." But you know what? It's not your point. It's not your decision making that counts. You're there for one reason only: is to do your job and let the front office do theirs.
And Mike, I've always wanted to ask you this because there were so many years going downtown. My mom works downtown, and meeting her for breakfast or lunch or just being in the general area, the Ed Ball building. Seeing your painting up there, Jimmy Smith, Tony Baselli, Mark Brunell, how cool was it for you as a youngster, still early on in your career, seeing that up on a very prominent building in Jacksonville?
That's cool. That's a really cool thing, and some of the guys on there with me, very cool to see that, and of course my parents still have a picture of that building on their refrigerator to this day.
That's awesome.
So it's a pretty cool thing, and I also have actually a piece of art that an artist had drawn up, I think 100 of those, and I've got number 1 of 100. And they're all signed by all the guys, including myself, of course.
That's great. Now, how did they go about that? Because I always wondered, did they need your permission, the team's permission? How did they do that?
Yeah, they did. They did ask my permission, and of course I'm going to say yeah. But you know, with all the other, you know, the companies out there, Nike and whatever else we had, like in our shoes, I think they had to kind of black those out, so forth. But it's cool.
Very cool. Mike Hollis joining us in studio, former Jacksonville Jaguars placekicker. And Mike, a few weeks ago we saw the Chicago Bears sign former Jaguars punter Adam Podlesh to a $10 million contract. The Jags just could not meet that. In my opinion, the biggest issue, you had the kicker Josh Scobie and his relationship with Adam Podlesh. What is that relationship like between the holder and the kicker? You did it for so many years.
Well, I can relate directly to that. Myself and Brian Barker were teammates for 6 years, and it is sad to see him go. And more importantly, as a kicker, you want to have a holder that will come in and do a great job. And back in my day, I had Chris Hansen come in and did a great job holding for me. But it is you know, you do spend a lot of time with your other partner there as far as the kicking positions, but you know, you just also with off the field stuff. I still work with Brian with the Jaguar alumni group. Matter of fact, I was on the phone with them today talking about tomorrow night's game. So we do still stay in touch quite a bit, and it's great camaraderie.
And I know a lot of people, a lot of listeners want to know what the former Jaguars are up to, because those 90 teams, the early 2000s, everybody has great memories of those teams. But what are you up to now? I know you have the Proform Kicking Academy, and you're working on a few other things, but let our listeners know, what is Mike Hollis up to right now?
Well, primarily my kicking academy. I do that all year round, and I do offer, you know, daily training on an annual basis, essentially. The guy that taught me everything I know about kicking, the guy's name is Jim Gaetano, and Jim grew up in the Northwest where I did as well, and I started working with him, believe it or not, back in high school. And you know, of course, I didn't listen. I was a little stubborn at times back then, but I didn't get real serious with Jim until probably my second year in college. But Jim is now my business partner in the Kicking Academy. So between the two of us, we're very, very knowledgeable with regards to the kicking, the swing, the fundamentals, and punting, and we do a little bit of snapping, not very much at all, but so that's kind of what I'm doing full time as well. But I also work for a company called De Novo 7, and that's a local company here in Jacksonville. And some of my former teammates are actually in the ownership group of this company. Tony Baselli, Mark Brunell, and Paul Fraze teamed up with a gentleman by the name of Anthony Schmidt, and we've developed a 2.5 ounce energy shot that is very similar to some other ones out there, but it's a healthy energy shot. It's not full and loaded full of chemicals.
It's very interesting. It's XE7, a liquid energy supplement. And is this before or after a workout, or how does this go about? Because I'm not big. I'm not very knowledgeable about these kind of things.
Essentially, it's a routine sort of thing. People are using energy shots and drinks on a daily basis these days, and it's not really meant for something that would be a pre-workout or a post-workout. It's just something that would be something to give you sustained energy throughout the day, and it's healthy. It's really good for you. We have the Mackay berry in it that's got a higher auric value than the acai berry, so it's very, very healthy for you.
Excellent. I want to also get back to the Kicking Academy. You can learn more at proformkicking.com. They're on Facebook at Mike Hollis's Proform Kicking Academy. But we've seen, Mike, with so many other sports, karate, basketball, tennis, just to name a few, we're seeing children starting to get started earlier and earlier. Is it kind of the same thing with kicking for you and your academy?
We do see some young kids. The athletes these days are bigger, faster, stronger than they were back when I was that age as a kid, and I think parents are more looking more for the advantage. They want their child to have the advantage in whatever sport it is, whatever position it is in that sport, and so there's a lot of specific academies out there, quarterbacks academies. You got the free throw guys that are doing basketball, the shooting academies. You got them all. Batting academies for baseball. They're very specific, intricate skills that can be learned and taught from professional guys who know a lot about those specific skills.
I've talked to many NFL players. Donovan Darius was on the show last month. We were talking a lot about the NFL lockout, and I asked him, Donovan, are you experiencing any pain, any injuries from your career? I've got to ask you, a 9-year NFL career, even though you're just a kicker, and a lot of people say, oh, he was just a kicker, do you have any lingering effects, lingering injuries from those years?
Well, I do have. I've had 4 back surgeries during my time in the NFL, and so I kind of feel a little bit like an old man when I wake up in the morning. not too bad, but I'm still a kid at heart, and I'm still trying to be as active as I can. And really, to be honest with you, the better shape I'm in and the more flexible I am, the better my back feels. So it's an incentive for me to continue doing what I can. I haven't been doing much lately, which is my own fault. But
you still look like you're in great shape, Mike. So that's not a problem there. And I know so many listeners have excellent memories of you as a Jacksonville Jaguar. It just everything. It's just everything about those teams was special. I feel like and set that foundation here in Jacksonville. I know you played here many years. What was your greatest memory as a Jacksonville Jaguar?
Well, the biggest thing that I can remember and probably the most rewarding time of my career here in Jacksonville it's had to be the '96 season when we went to the AFC Championship game and just being underdogs the entire time. Going to Buffalo, knocking them off, and then going to Denver, of course, and knocking them off, and coming back to thousands of fans in the stadium and hearing Dave Weidel, Jacksonville, do you believe in miracles? I'll never forget that.
I was one of those fans in that stadium. I do remember that night very, very well, staying up. And I do remember, if the Jaguars, and this was a pact my parents made, I don't know if it would have stood true, but if the Jags won the Super Bowl, we would have missed school on Monday. And said, no school, Jags won, no problem. And that was one of the big incentives, Mike. So if y'all had won, no school on Monday. And we've seen some rule changes throughout the kicking, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I also want to ask you more about the Kicking Academy and about kicking in general, because we see so many kicks come down to the final seconds. A kicker could be gone in a day if they miss a major kick. How much of kicking is a mental game?
Well, it is a lot mental, but I think that the more you practice your physical skill, the better your mental becomes, because you really gain a lot of confidence in yourself based on what you do, and what you do is based on what you work on as far as the technique and stuff. So it all boils down to your kicking technique and your form, and if you can trust it and know what you're capable of doing, the mental side actually is not as bad. Yes, if you kick this field goal with no time on the clock, the scoreboard will change and you will win the game. Yes, I know that in the back of my head, stepping on the field, kicking the game-winning field goal. But I want to convince myself that it's no different than any kick in the game. It could have been the first extra point. It's still the same sort of, nothing's changed in my opinion as far as what I need to do. I don't need to go faster. I don't need to, even though the coaches are yelling at you, hey, don't get it blocked, got to go faster. I don't even listen to that because I know I'm going to be fast and I know I'm going to get the ball up and I know that I just got to do the stuff that I know what to do and the result will happen.
Excellent. Mike Hollis, former Jacksonville Jaguars kicker, joining us in studio. We'll talk to him some more. We'll talk about what else is going on. We'll talk about rule changes, more about kicking, more about just football. Having a good time, Mike Hollis, former Jaguars kicker, in studio. On Facebook, Mike Hollis' Proform Kicking Academy, their website, proformkicking.com. And also, XC7 Liquid Energy Supplement. Find more at proformkicking.com. There's a link there. So check it out when you have time. More of Mike Hollis right here in studio. And also, Gay Culverhouse. She'll join us in 15 minutes. We'll talk about many things. Head injuries, concussions, much more with Gay Culverhouse in 15 minutes right here on Miller on Sports. Coming up, it's the Florida News Network. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Miller on Sports.